Welcome, everyone. This is Virginia Parsons, your Hangout mentor and the host of the Inspirational Business Women show, where it is my passion and my purpose to provide you, the entrepreneur, a gold mine of inspirational tips, strategies, and advice to help you grow your business from inspirational businesswomen in the know. And I'm so pleased that you've joined us here today. We have moved to a little bit of a different platform. We are still doing Hangouts on Air, but we are wrapping it all around Webinar Jam. So for those of you who are joining us, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you and value you. And why don't you let us know where you're hanging out from? I'm hanging out from beautiful Reno, Nevada, where we've just had a beautiful, fresh powder snowfall up in the Sierras. And I hope where you're hanging out from that you're having a terrific day. Now, I value your time and I appreciate you taking the time to be here. So also let us know a little bit about you. Just type that in the comment section of Webinar Jam. Tell us a little bit about what your passion is and what you hope to learn from today's show. So today's show is sponsored by hangout-marketing.com, where you can receive a free Hangout marketing assessment that's going to really measure your skill set and your knowledge base in using not only Hangouts on Air, but all the other forms of live stream platforms that are available to you today. Now, my special guest, who's coming on in just a moment, Dawn Andrews, is a real expert in the area of videos, using video to grow and enhance your business. So let me give you a little bit of background about Dawn. She's known as the Video Diva. She's a Hollywood business strategist and the CEO of Free Range Thinking. And she's got an extensive amount of experience in using video to brand, grow, and market your business. So today, that's what we're talking about, is video power unleashed for exponential growth. And here's the thing. Why do you really need to bite the bullet and start using video in your own business today? She's really going to share with you why it's so important if you want to grow your business exponentially. Also, are you feeling vulnerable in front of the camera? I know that I was when I first began, and it's important that you learn how to overcome that so that you can have increased visibility and also increase your connection to your audience. Now, also, Dawn is going to share with us top tips for camera excellence. And I can't wait to hear about these because I know we all can continue to grow and learn from experts in this field. So, Dawn, without further ado, unmute yourself, come on in and say hi to our audience, won't you?
Hello, everybody. Nice to see you.
We're so glad you could make it. Yeah, the hands are working. The camera's working. We had a few glitches before we started, so we're hoping that everything is working well now, and I will be referring to a second computer to make sure you're all seeing this. So anyway, thank you so much for being here, Dawn. And where are you hanging out from?
I'm hanging out in Los Angeles in Silver Lake, which is a spot that's a little east of Hollywood, and it's super artsy and fun, and it's a great place to raise my kids. I'm having a good time here.
Fabulous, fabulous. And I know you're planning some fun activities for your kids this weekend. And you know, it's so important that we balance our business and our personal life. And that's one of the things I love about video, because you can do video ahead of time, record it, and then go off and have your personal life as well. Right, Dawn?
Absolutely. I mean, you and I, when we were chatting behind the scenes about why video is so important, to me, that's one of the number one reasons to get into the world of video is for leverage, because you can't be more than one place at a time, except when you use video. People get the intimate experience of you, but they get to see you at a time that's convenient for them, and you record it once and you're done.
That's right. Record and done. Oh, of course, you can always edit, I guess, but we're doing this live. So you're getting the raw, unedited version. Hey, Dawn, share with people a little bit about your background. I know everyone loves to hear how someone came from, where they were and what they're doing today and why you chose to really focus on video and where you got your experience from.
So my training goes back quite far. I was trained as an actor, singer, dancer, and wanted to be on Broadway. But I say that just so you can see how much has changed, and also so that you don't hear, oh, well, she's a trained actor, so it's easy to be on camera. Because I can tell you that it was not that way for me. It was easy to learn lines and be on camera for somebody else. But once you start talking about your own products and your own message and your own business, or relating to new clients through the camera, it's a completely different world, and it does take some adjustment. So I started out as an actor, singer, dancer, and then moved into the production of feature films, and then eventually worked in Hollywood for one of the top 3 talent agencies before I started my coaching and consulting business 14 years ago. And so it was an interesting shift going from being in the creative, sort of the creative end of the spectrum, more right brain, all the way into the left brain part of things. And where that all intersected with video was this leverage piece that we were just talking about. Is I had grown my consulting business and needed to create courses or ways to have a little bit more time for myself to be able to continue to grow. Because if you're a one person show, if you're a solopreneur, there's only so much you can do with the amount of time that you have. And then you need to start expanding. And though you may not be ready to add more team members and really scale your business, video is such a great interim step for getting to that next level in your business. And that's where my Hollywood business strategy consulting and video met up together, was being able to bring my business to the next level and serve a greater and even slightly different audience. So that's where it all has come from.
Yeah, well, so there's nothing to say that you can't change paths, right? Going from dancer and we all do this, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's part of following your passion, isn't it? And one thing leads to another.
I'm driven by joy. Whatever makes me happy in the moment. There are conversations that I have with folks, and it's particularly interesting to have them on video because people get very emotional when you can be face to face with them. And I especially encounter this a lot with women, and women that are between 35 and 55 who are at this next chapter of their life, who are trying to find that next perfect right answer thing to get started. And my request is use video to help you. And we'll talk about this a little bit later in our conversation, but to just follow your joy, follow what's interesting to you and what makes you happy. And it will lead you through to a great life, regardless of whether you find that perfect passion and right answer to turn into a business. So I know I digressed a little bit, but to me, videos helped.
I think it's important. And, who would have thought, 3 years ago that I would have been so fascinated by live stream broadcasting, because it didn't exist, right? Video was your only option back then. And then I remember if you wanted to do something, you'd have to rent or hire, a studio to go do some kind of a video production, or I guess you could do something like we're doing now, live and very casually, by picking up your phone and doing a live broadcast now on something like Periscope as an example, or Meerkat, and now Facebook Live. These are all new forms of video that are live streaming that then can be repurposed. So yeah, I think it's just important to realize that our lives and our paths do shift as things, as the world progresses, right?
You bet.
Well, listen, I want to take an opportunity just for a second to say hi to some people who have managed to figure out how to get over to the live broadcast on Webinar Jam. I want to thank you for coming because this is new for all of us. I want to welcome Susan and Leah and Heidi. We've got Chris here, Diane from St. Pete's, Florida, Leah and Betsy from Upper Peninsula, Michigan. She's in a cabin in the woods. Now, don't you love this? Able to be in a cabin in the woods and get a live broadcast. So let's see who else we've got here. Betsy Jane. Okay, so that's the start of it. Keep putting your comments in. Also, I want to let you know that we are going to have a Blab after show. We would love to have you come join us on Blab so you can ask any questions over there that you'd like of Dawn, her background, her experience, her ideas for you and your business. And also, of course, put your questions here in the comment section of Webinar Jam. We're thrilled that you're here. Thank you for taking the time today. Now, Dawn, let's talk about first things first. And you've already started talking about it, and we're alluding to it here, but why is it so important that people bite the bullet and start using video in their business, number one? And number two, what do you think are some of the best ways that they can begin if they're a newbie in using video?
So the reason it's so important to bite the bullet and start using video in your business is because it's already happening. If you think about what draws your attention in your Facebook feed, if you think about what emails you open first, we all are drawn to being able to see and hear people as opposed to just reading. And there are tons of stats out there, and I'm not going to repeat a bunch of them because they're everywhere, about how video gets viewed 73 times more than just a blog post, about how Facebook has surpassed YouTube in terms of the place to view video. I mean, there are so many ways that video has deeply been integrated into our minds and hearts already, especially around the brands that we love. And if you, again, take a look at your Facebook feed, the brands that you love are popping up videos into your conversation daily and stopping traffic with them and growing with them. So if you're not using it for your brand, for your business, I really recommend that you start. Now, it also distinguishes you from other people because your face, especially if you're a solo business owner, a consultant, a coach, a speaker, an author, something where you're relying on your own sort of persona to publicize yourself, that becomes your logo. And when you share it on video, there is nobody that can compete with you because you are you and there are not two of you. So it's great to be able to distinguish yourself and be unique that way. And then people also perceive video as more immediate, more connected and authentic, and also as more valuable, especially if you're delivering products through video. So many reasons to be able to share on video, especially in a time when people have a lot of mistrust in politics, people have mistrust in business. And if you're looking to reach your audience and really connect with them, your authenticity shows through when you can show up and be with them on camera, and particularly if you can do Q&As in the Blab like Virginia does with her show every time that she's running it. So many reasons to do it. And it can be really intimidating and overwhelming because you see the fancy ads that Lowe's and Home Depot have done, or that Pepsi is doing, or that your favorite musician is doing, because most of those are a fortune is spent and they're professionally produced. So I want to give you some entry level tactics to be able to produce quality or high quality enough videos to be able to share what it is that you're doing and how you can help and make a difference for people. The thing that I always recommend for people when they're just starting is use the tools that you have at hand and then continue to upgrade. So nearly everyone has a smartphone with video on it. You can start there. And the easiest way, I think, for people to get high quality video is to use their laptop or their computer and a nice quality webcam, like a Logitech webcam, because those have great microphones in them so we can hear you well. And then they have beautiful lenses on them so we can see you well. And when you're using your laptop or your computer in your home, you've blocked out most of the peripheral noise so that we're not distracted when we're listening to what you're doing. And people also tend to be more comfortable when they're in their own environment, just getting started. So that's the entry level point to actually start creating videos that everybody has at hand. And I think it just makes it really simple to start.
Okay, so I love that. And the key that you're really getting at is that you're coming from a place of authenticity. And people are getting to know you as real. People are getting connected because they feel like they know you. And the thing I love about that, Dawn, is that, you know, you're in a position where you can just get comfortable being yourself. So many people are, I think, afraid that if they're themselves, they won't be accepted. And yet that's what people like, is you're being vulnerable. You're doing your best to just genuinely provide information or content or a sense of who you are without worrying about being judged. Now, the bottom factor, and I know we're going to get into this in a minute, is that there is always some judgment coming, but generally it's coming more from yourself being critical than it is from your audience. Would you agree with that?
I do agree with that. And who cares? Because you need to be bigger than your fear. If you want your business to be successful, and usually you're starting a business because there's something that you want to change in the world, you want something to be better. If you're coming from a place of service through your business, then be bigger than the fear. We all have it. It doesn't go away. Just acknowledge that it's there. You can even be straight up and be honest about it on camera. When I speak on camera and when I speak live, you probably can start to see it, right? Like I get really red and splotchy. It's because I get fired up. It's like a combination of adrenaline and nerves and passion that's happening. This is just what it looks like to play with me. So I could be self conscious about it. I could wear turtlenecks. I could try to hide it, or I could just be real about it. And the more you let your hair down and be legit with people, you give them permission to move past their fear as well. So who cares? Rise above it and stay committed to what's really important to you and bring it through the camera to empower other people with it as well.
And I love that. That red flush means that you've just got some energy flowing through there. Nothing wrong with that at all.
Not
It's
at
a
all.
healthy red flush, no doubt about it. All right, so I want to take a pause here, Dawn, just because it looks like, for whatever reason, we are live, but our room is not seeing us. I'm so frustrated for everybody because we're having a great conversation here. So I'm going to let you continue on the topic of vulnerability and increase visibility. I will be muting and I will do what I can to make sure that the people in the room can see all this good information, okay? So you go ahead and talk about that.
Sounds good. Okay, so one of the things that happens for a lot of folks when it comes to creating video is you get super vulnerable when you're confronted with that glass lens, that camera staring you in the face. You freeze, you feel like you can't find your words, you don't feel like yourself. It's completely natural that that is happening. And to be able to be vulnerable is one of the greatest gifts that you can give other people while you're on camera. So here are some of my tips to help you settle yourself down and then get real so that you can just really be with people. First, set yourself up so that you can look right in the lens. I'm leaning in so I can see you. You want to make sure that you're actually talking to the lens as opposed to looking down at your keyboard, or for instance, I'm looking over here at my notes. It's not that you can't occasionally look away, but the more that your eyes are shifting, looking at other things, imagine what it feels like in a live conversation with someone. You're at a cocktail party. You're standing there having a conversation with them and you keep looking over their shoulder at who else has come into the room. That's what it feels like when you're having a conversation and you're not looking at the camera. So just take some time and look into the camera and do some tests for yourself so you can get over the hump of getting used to talking to the camera. That's layer one of removing your vulnerability. Layer number two is, again, just admitting what reality is for you. Like Virginia and I, before we got on the call today or before we got on the hangout today, had a lot of technical difficulties that we're still dealing with right now. So, to give you some perspective on what's going on, you and I are having this conversation about vulnerability, and I can see Virginia on the screen hopping around technically trying to make it happen. It's just part of the reality of being in Google Hangouts and sharing these kinds of conversations. And with sharing that reality with you, number one, it settles me down because I'm not trying to make sure that everything looks perfect and is perfect and hiding that there's a little bit of foolishness that's going on right now trying to make this happen for you. So if you can just let your hair down and be yourself, it's okay. And then the third thing I'd like to say about the realm of vulnerability, again, I work with a lot of women that are 35 to 55 who didn't grow up with phones in their hands, didn't grow up with video, didn't grow up with Facebook feeds and your personal life shared in great detail and on display. And what I want to recommend is that you take the time to really just get in front of the camera. Just do it because, okay, I'm about to go on a little bit of a soapbox. Virginia, you knew this was coming. Okay, we as women of that age range didn't grow up with video, but because of what we have experienced, because of where we have been in business, because of where we have been as parents, we have the greatest opportunity to cause change in the world. Again, in politics, in business, in education, in the environment. And we're not getting in front of the camera to leverage the medium to make a difference. And so, what I request is that you just take the time to practice with a friend. You can always throw videos away, you record them, it's not that big a deal. It's awkward, you get rid of it and you start over. You re record your Google Hangout because nobody could see and hear you. You do whatever you need to do. But I'm inviting you to step up and get past your fear of being on camera because your vulnerability, particularly again for women in this age range, opens up this conversation for making the world a very different and very better place at a time when we desperately need it. So be vulnerable. It's okay. Stop trying to fight it and go with it more deeply because you're welcoming more people into their power the more at ease, goofy, awkward, hair messed up sometimes, imperfect you are. Let go of trying to be pretty, perfect, and packaged all the time and just be yourself so that the rest of us get to do the same and we can get on to the work that's most important.
And I thank you for just covering that because this is so important, especially for women. We are put up against what I think are such artificial, unrealistic standards that don't get to the heart of just being yourself and being comfortable with that. So yeah, the vulnerability is there. It's unfortunately a cultural thing. And yet we have to make that decision, as you said, especially as women, to step out of that fear, to become vulnerable, to offer your best, whatever it is, in spite of whatever technology clicks or jinxes we're having here today, and just be yourself. And, for those of you who are finally getting to see us here, thank you for your patience. New technology and all the tests I did, it worked fine. So here we are in the live broadcast. And thank you for hanging out, all of you guys. I appreciate it. Chris, Lee, Josie. It's just, technology is a challenge, but it's so worth it because I can't tell you, Dawn, how many really close, intimate connections I have made because of this technology, because of live technology. And in spite of its challenges, there's nothing better to me than live technology because it's an instant connection. I mean, you and I are right here. We have met in person. We've had the fortunate opportunity to meet in person, but many, many times I have not met my guests in person. We have just done it over live broadcasting, which of course then turns into video. And so you have to give yourself permission to just go with the flow, go with the flaws, be the best that you can be, give your best to your audience, and know and trust that the people who are watching are there because they support you, they support your challenges, and they want to learn from what you're offering. So thank you for bringing that up because I just think it's really critical and probably the most important thing we can do in overcoming vulnerability so we can get visible. And hey, everybody, thank you for jumping over to YouTube so we can be visible to you because we've been here chatting this whole time. And I'm so sorry that the technology has had a glitch for us today. But at least it's being recorded and it will be available in replay mode as well. All right, so let's move on to some of those top tips then. And you already started to talk about those. But I think anything people can hear, including myself, that will help increase our sense of confidence and overcome that sense of vulnerability would be very valuable. So go ahead and share that.
Yes. So there are several things that I'm going to share with you today about being great on camera at a moment's notice. And I will also tell you that most of the ability to do that does come from preparation. So to give you a little bit of background about why looks this way, practice. And I mentioned it before, but having everything familiar to you, knowing where your camera equipment is, how to set it up, how to test your sound, how to make sure that you can be seen and heard, that you have light shining on you from the front so that we can actually see your face, so you're not in the background, or so that there isn't sort of a pallor cast over you. Because a lot of people feel like they lose energy on camera, which they do, but oftentimes it's because they don't have any lighting shining in the front of their face. Like whether it's an open window or an extra light that you put in, even a table lamp that's in front of you to cast a little bit of a glow brightens you up. We can see you better, and you also appear to have more energy on screen. And then another thing that really helps with confidence is it's my $20 solution. It's lipstick, lighting, and lashes. So we just talked about the lighting, lipstick, and lashes, because if we can't see your eyes, we can't relate to the emotion that comes through them. And if we can't see your lips, then we're not listening to what you're saying. And I often recommend straight up really bright lipstick for women. And if you looked at yourself in your regular bathroom mirror with the lipstick that you probably wear on camera, you'd be like, "Ooh, girl, that's way too much lip for me today." You know what I mean? It would be way big and bright. If you were in the room with me right now, you'd think I looked like a drag queen because I really got it going on big right now. But I also know that for me, being fair skinned, fair haired, and lit up, that everything turns into a potato really fast. So, lipstick, lighting, and lashes is something that you can do really quick at a moment's notice if you're making a video with your camera phone. Just put a little bit on, put a little bit on, and your videos will immediately start to look a lot more lively and fresh.
Okay, I love that. Now, guys, it's okay. It doesn't mean you have to do it. Although I do know that when men are on film, that they will often use some form of a matte powder. Is that correct?
Absolutely. So for men, here's what I really recommend: having a shirt in a beautiful contrasting color. So this is tip number 3 of being really great at a moment's notice: is have your on-camera uniform ready. Test out a few outfits. This, I don't necessarily recommend black on camera all the time, but again, I'm fair-haired, fair-skinned, so black helps me stand out. So for men and women, have at least one blouse, one shirt that's a really complementary, solid color for you that can always be your go-to at a moment's notice. Somebody calls you to jump on camera, you've got your shirt pressed and ready to go. It's hanging in the closet just for that purpose. And then also for men, you almost always get shiny when you start talking on camera. Just men have more oil glands, they have more sweat glands, they get really shiny really fast. So having some pressed powder to take it down, and glasses if you wear them with non-reflective lenses so that you don't look like shiny bug-eyed when we're looking at your face, makes it really simple. And men, you can just be really, really down to earth and low key. Just pat it down with a little bit of powder.
Good ideas, guys. See, we don't want to leave you out. We love our men viewers, and we have lots of them. So it's important that you look good on camera too. Although, with men, I found it's much more typical. They don't worry about the hair particularly. They might have just throw their baseball cap on and be that way. And that's fine. Just be yourself. That's the bottom line. Be yourself. But what you're talking about is popping, looking professional, and coming across with some vibrancy. And that's the point for using the lipstick and the lashes.
Absolutely. And you're looking to build credibility, and how you do that is by making sure that people can really hear your message clearly. So part of it is removing distractions and making these features pop so that people are really paying attention to there's a reason that I have red lipstick on, not just because it's flattering, but because then people are looking at my mouth. And when you can visually have your eye connect to the screen and to the mouth and sound together, the message gets through more quickly and clearly. So this is a strategic move here, not just a let's look pretty move. It's a I want to make sure that people are hearing what I'm saying move. And with men, you're good like you are, but not to, belabor the red lipstick. But I also want you to take a moment to have clear what your key points are. So some people, when I'm training them for on-camera work, are extemporaneous talkers, and some people are bullet point talkers. They need to prepare in advance. So when you're practicing, figure out which of those two you are, and know whether you feel more at ease and connected and comfortable if you can just speak off the cuff, and know whether you feel better bullet pointing your information before and having a little time to rehearse it so that you stay on point. That'll help really get your point across and have you look professional and up your visibility and credibility with what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, you really do have to have an outline, and I've always done that for my show, although I don't want it to be, rigid. I just want to make sure we cover certain bits of information that I think are going to be valuable for the audience, and that is the whole points in preparing that ahead of time, so that we do make sure we cover what we have told you that we're going to cover. So what we have covered today is why video is imperative for business today. And just to reiterate, remember what Dawn said, that, there's so much, what you see, 73 times more apt to pay attention to something if it's video than if it's in a printed blog, as an example.
Yeah,
That's a huge difference.
Isn't it?
Yeah. And then you said that there are so many more videos now watched on Facebook than actually on YouTube. So that's why you need to have a presence on Facebook as well. Mm-hmm. So all these different ways that we can get in front of people. And then we talked about overcoming the vulnerability for increased visibility. And I think we really hit an area that's so key for women in particular. I just think we just have those standards we've got to work through and start believing in ourselves and saying, I have a message that is valuable and I'm going to get it out there, as flawed as I might feel doing it. I'm going to do the best I can. And I do think the audience appreciates that. And finally, some great tips. And so do you want to add anything to your tips for camera excellence that we haven't covered here before we head on over to Blab, where you can also ask your questions? And people may be a little delayed, by the way, getting to Blab, Dawn, because I think they're delayed in watching the show. But we're going to go over there and I'll ask you some more questions as well.
That's no problem. The last thing that I would add is just to keep, when you're just starting with video, keep things brief and short and single topic. Because oftentimes we'll feel like we're used to a 22-minute or a 44-minute format from watching television our whole lives. You don't need to do that. Spend 30 seconds, 50 seconds sharing one key piece of information that you think will help move your client or your audience forward in that video. And just keep it really short and simple. That way you don't have to edit. We save you a lot of time and energy and a learning curve by just having a really short conversation.
Let me share with you a very special gift that Dawn is providing for our viewers. Let me bring that up. And Dawn, you can talk about that for a moment while I go ahead and post the link over to Blab. Talk a little about the gift.
Sure. So one of the things, again, that I've encountered is, most particularly for women, but everything in here is for women and men both, things that stop them from getting on camera. And so I created 5 tips from a pro to look your best on camera, even at a moment's notice. And some of it is makeup, outfit, appearance based, and some of it is technology, get yourself prepared based. But it's all using things that you have right at your fingertips to improve the quality of your video immediately. So if you've been holding back on sharing your message, connecting with people on camera, and you'd really like to break through that, you should go to Virginia's link here, hmtips.com at Dawn Gift, and get yourself that download as soon as you possibly can, so that you can get to making video ASAP.
Absolutely. I really appreciate your providing that. And again, all you have to do is type in hmtips.com/Dawn Gift, and this will be immediately available to you. So Dawn, I want to thank you so much for being here with us today. I know that we have people who are going to want to be joining us over on Blab, so you can answer a few more questions, and so they can get on camera and practice a little bit of this and overcoming a little vulnerability. 2 things that you said: practice, do it anyway, even if you're uncomfortable, and just get over the vulnerability so you can get out there in a way that attracts the people who really need what you have to offer. So really appreciate that. And let me bring up where we're going to be going so that you can join us over on Blab. Here is the address to join us on Blab. Just come on over. It's hmtips.com/IBWS Blab 18. hmtips.com/IBWS Blab 18. We'll be joining you over there in a few minutes. Come on in and ask your questions, because I know Dawn is absolutely filled with knowledge and experience that she wants to share. She really wants people to get out there and get noticed, and she is a true expert at that. So again, Dawn, I want to thank you for being here with us today. And everybody, come on over and join us in Blab.